Hi, my friends. Welcome back to our second inception of Storytime Yoga. Today's practice will work on sort of teasing open our upper back, which can get really stuck and rigid from hunching or slumping or working on devices, if that's something that you do. You might want a couple of blocks for today or improvise with a bolster or height. And you might want a pillow. And the pillow could be useful to begin this practice to put underneath your head, especially if you have a sore or a tight neck. So let's begin. We'll take the pillow underneath our head and we'll lie on back so that our neck is supported. And we'll take a moment to land into our pelvis. So you might close your eyes for this part and allow the weight of your pelvis to drop to the earth. Today's story will be a Taoist story of a farmer who lost his horse. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Sai Weng Lost His Horse. So taking a moment to let your low back feel that your pelvis is starting to let go in and around your hips. And we'll begin by taking our right leg over our left and then letting the whole unit of your legs fall to the left. Now, if you want to stagger apart your feet so your knees aren't so crisscrossed, you could do that. Or unhook them and bring your knees closer in towards your chest, your choice. But however you land, let's take both our hands clapping on our left side body. And our first movement into the twist will be a big sunrise movement coming up and over our body and then finding a twist. And your legs might tug upwards there, no problem. And you can exhale, come back onto your side. So that's the movement. Anywhere along that movement, feel free to go at your own pace or stay a little. And I'll show you that 5 times, so you might join in with me. You could do it with your breath. Inhale to open. Exhale to close. That's 3. And here I'm thinking about moving from my spine and not just my shoulder. So as I open for this 4th one, thinking about the right side of my spine kissing the earth or coming close to the earth on the way open, and my shoulder following that direction. So one more here, and this one will stay open. So you can look up, you can look towards your right hand and take a beat in the twist. If there's any strain on the back of your pelvis, you can unhook your legs or bring your knees closer. And you might take a longer breath in here and a longer exhale. And then we can come all the way back over onto our left side. And our second series of movements is a big rainbow movement over our head. So you might even try to keep your fingers attached to the floor or touching or grazing the floor. We'll do that 5 times, up and over. And you might even try to reach a little bit longer. So as you reach through your arm, you're tugging up on your rib area, getting a little space in the muscles in between your ribs, getting a little space in the pieces of your spine, in your thorax, which tend to get kind of compressed, kind of stuck, maybe even a little bit wooden. And we're letting this motion be lotion for this region of our bodies. And the reason our T-spine gets so stuck, well, one of them could be that we've got all these ribs guarding our vitals, and they tend to get a little stuck. So there's lots of bone in this area. So you can come up and over, and this time we'll stay. And can you get your right shoulder blade to sink? It doesn't have to touch the floor. Your arm might even be hovering, but can you get it to sink a little bit? Can you get your sternum to sort of veer towards pointing straight up? And pause. Take a few breaths. So the story of Sai Weng, a poor Chinese farmer that lost his horse, starts with, well, one day his horse ran away. And all of his neighbors and all the community said, what bad luck you have, what misfortune you have. And his reply was, maybe so, maybe not. We shall see. And taking a breath in here, you might even encourage your hips to come away from your head. And we'll come all the way back over onto our right side. Uncross your legs if they're crossed. Come into the middle. Hips in the middle, feet a little wide like the distance of your mat. And you can knock your knees side to side like a windshield wiper, old school windshield wiper movement. And maybe 50 to 70% effort, you might even close your eyes. Some of us like to take our arms over our head for a little bit of an upper back stretch, a side body stretch, and let some lubrication and movement, that lotion, happen in your low back. We're going to switch sides, so I'm going to turn right over. But before I do that, if you choose the leg cross, you can go left leg over right. Do a little hip flip so you're more on your right outer hip, and let your legs fall to the right. And there I'm going to come all the way over, so my hands clap on the side, and perhaps you stagger your legs a little bit, or keep them crossed at the knees, or untuck them and draw them in towards your belly. So the first movement is this big sunrise opening, and back over. You might do it with your breath. You could inhale to open. Shoulder blade drops. Sternum points skyward, and all the way back over. And instead of really leading with my hand, I'm actually trying to lead with my spine. Get the movement to initiate by the left side of my spine, coming closer to the ground. And I might even think about hips and head moving away from each other in that movement, so there's a little more length, so there's a little more opportunity for rotation. So you can stay a beat in the open position. Stretch through your low back. Feel free to adjust if you need something underneath your knees, or if your arm is floating, that's okay. Take a breath wherever you are. And we'll go all the way back over onto our side, and this time we're going to reach into that rainbow over our head. And see, it's a little bit of a different movement that's teasing open our upper back. So this one, I like to kind of wiggle my fingers as high up and think about really stretching the space in between the ribs, all those muscles that go in between the ribs. Stretching the spine a little longer, like I'm an accordion opening up. And then again, you can come into the feeling of, as you come up and over, sinking the left side of your spine, kissing your left shoulder blade to the ground. And on this last one, let's stay in it. So we'll come up and over, down through the left shoulder blade. And pause a moment. You might close your eyes and find that comfortable place for yourself in the twist. So as the story goes, the next day, Sai Weng's horse came home with 8 wild horses, accompanied by 8 wild horses. And so now Sai Weng had 9 horses, and for a poor farmer, that was a bounty. And so all of the neighbors said, "Oh my God, what good luck you have. How fortunate you are. And it's a good thing after such a bad thing happened to you." So then Sai Weng responded, of course, maybe so, maybe not. We shall see. So as the story goes, Sai Weng has a bit of a big picture viewpoint where maybe he's lived long enough to know that it's not so black and white. The residue of a situation could be many different things. So instead of attaching to an outcome, he's kind of resting in the possibility of not knowing. So he can come all the way back over onto our side there, unhook the legs if they're crossed, and let your knees wobble side to side. You might take your arms overhead, maybe in a big Y or an O position, interlocking your fingers. And getting some of that movement to come into your low back. If there's any tenderness there, you're welcome to draw your knees in, give yourself a hug, and massage out the low back by wobbling a little bit left to right.